Good evening, humans. TyrannosaurusMoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the Legends of Lucha Libre Premium Wave 2 Konnan figure from Boss Fight Studio and Masked Republic. I have been all in on Boss Fight Studio's wrestling stuff ever since we got Penta and Rey Fenix the other year. I forget exactly what year, but yeah, I thought this was going to use the Rey Fenix buck, and yeah, I was actually wrong. There's definitely some differences here, and the question is, are they good? Are they bad? Are they just indifferent? Well, let's talk about that. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this figure looks positively fantastic, and honestly, I would not expect any less from Boss Fight Studio. Everything I've gotten from them has been top-notch, and this is no different. And as I said in the intro, I thought this was going to be basically a lot of reuse from Rey Fenix from, I guess, the first wave. I don't even know if it's considered a wave, so you know that these might be separate. But in any event, it's definitely not. It's actually completely new. There's no similarities whatsoever, and I have Rey Fenix here. And okay, maybe the like hips piece, but everything else, like the folds in the pants are completely different. The knee pads have folds that are completely different. Obviously the boots are different. So yeah, and the torso is like absolutely different, completely different build, slightly different texturing. So yeah, not the same in the slightest. Even the arms are definitely sculpted differently. So I was definitely wrong there. But what we do have, again, just looks absolutely spectacular. Starting with the head, and again, I love that they do the mask piece as kind of like a separate piece of plastic over a kind of partial head sculpt, because it gives it that depth. It makes it look real. I mean, look at the eyes. I mean, that looks like an actual person. It's a little glossy here at the chin, which obviously gives kind of the more toy look to it. But other than that, like absolutely fantastic sculpt all around. Just so good. We are getting the kind of skin texture on the torso again, slightly different, not quite as pronounced as it was in Rey Fenix, but everything else really good. I love the way they did the hand wraps, fully textured. Obviously we got the body hair is painted on, so there's that. And then we have that nice kind of pearlescent look to the tights, which is really cool. I mean, very vibrant colors as well. And they're coming down to the boots, everything super crisp paint all around, and just, yeah, absolutely fantastic figure. Proportions are pretty much perfect. Like, yeah, just absolutely amazing looking figure. We get a great load out of accessories here, so let's jump right in, starting with hands. And right out of the box, we get a couple of closed fists. Then we get a couple of gripping hands. Then we get a left hand doing the West Side gesture, beautifully sculpted all around, has the hand wraps all the way as well, as all the hands do. And then we get a right hand doing a finger gun / point, looks excellent. And one other thing I want to point out while I'm on hands is one of the changes they made here was they shortened the pegs for the hands, which honestly I'm really happy about, because one of the very few gripes I had with Penta and Rey Fenix was that the way they did the hand pegs, they were really hard to get out without heating them up. At least they were for mine. And this totally fixes that. These hold very nicely, and they're super easy to get in and out. So double thumbs up there. Then we move on to two different head sculpts. We looked at the other one the default one in aesthetics, but we do get a second head sculpt. Sculpted just as well. Actually, I think I prefer this mask, kind of more of a kind of iron monster sort of look to it. Absolutely love it. Same thing, like those eyes just perfectly painted, details all the way around. So yeah, excellent. Oh, and another change, instead of the barbell joint being in the actual head sculpt and that being what you take out, they are now doing kind of the more industry standard. There is a socket there, and you just put it into the barbell joint. So a lot easier there as well. And then finally, the last thing we have is just a kind of plain black microphone. So I can get this to focus. There we go. Some really nice texturing on the top of it, and everything else is kind of standard, and we got the buttons right there. So yeah, some nice details despite it being a very simple product. So yeah, that's accessories. articulation, balance, and figure feel are all very similar to what they were for Wave 1. However, there are some slight differences, and it's kind of up to the viewer as to how you feel those are. Obviously I will give my opinions as I'm going through it. So as you can see, it can hold the freestanding kick without any help. Always a plus for me. Not only that, but it's very easy and pretty fluid, not quite as fluid as Wave 1 to pose, which is great. And I'm still absolutely just in love with this line. And then we come to the head. We do have a dumbbell joint. Just again, this time the head comes off as opposed to the dumbbell coming as part of the whole head assembly. So we are getting some really nice down. Not really any up for Konnan because of the sculpt at the back of the head here. So that's really not going to get you anything. And both head sculpts have that, so that's going to prevent that. We do have some side to side. We've got some room there. We have butterfly joints, not as much room, and this is where a lot of the changes kind of come in with this buck as opposed to like Ray Fenix, which is probably the most analogous. Just not as much room, so you're really not getting around the way you were with the previous figures. Still moves a little bit, so not too bad. And definitely had to warm this one up a little bit, but so there you go. So there's a butterfly, just not quite as effective. And then we come into our T with our arm because we are hinge and swivel. We have bicep swivel. We have double jointed elbows, which fold completely in half. We have hinge and swivel at the wrists, all horizontal. We have our 2 ball joint assembly here at the torso. So diaphragm is a ball joint, and then the waist is a ball joint. So we're not getting quite as deep a crunch as Wave 1, but still like absolutely beautiful. Part of that is that the sculpt is a lot tighter. There's not as much space here between the sections. So aesthetically, it's definitely a lot more seamless. You're just gonna lose a little bit of range there. So that's gonna be up to you to whether you think that is better or worse. I honestly think that's kind of just the same. I expect these to kind of change as they go along. And side to side is also just beautiful. Coming to the hips range, we are almost full splits, definitely very nice. As with Wave 1, the kind of hips crotch piece is rubber, so it definitely moves out of the way. We do have thigh swivel there as well. And then we have double jointed knees. We have boot cut. We have perfect point, slight bit of forward, and then some very nice rocker. So that's articulation. Getting in size comparisons, here he is with the other Legends of Lucha Libre Premiums, as well as the Fanáticos Juventud Guerrera, with some other wrestling figure lines, with some Hasbro and some Mattel, with some imports, with some monsters. Finally, with an articulated icons Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valaverse Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the Legends of Lucha Libre Premium Konnan figure from Boss Fight Studio Masked Republic is that this is another stellar entry into that line. I've said it before, I'm fully in on this line and the Fanáticos. I love what Boss Fight does, and this is fully an extension of that. The kind of changes are, the actual changes are kind of nice. Like, again, I like the shorter pegs for the hands so they're easier to switch out. I like that they have the barbell joint kind of set in the body as opposed to being something that you remove with the head. So it just makes things easier. Beyond that, somewhat, I don't want to say limited articulation, but the articulation doesn't have the same range because they tightened up the sculpt. And again, from an aesthetics standpoint, that is much, much better. From an articulation standpoint, you don't get quite as much range. So that's going to be up to the user as to, kind of whether that's a good or a bad thing. For me, again, I love them both. We have the kind of first wave and we have this, and I'm just excited to see where this line goes, especially because, pardon me, Boss Fight Studio also got the MLW license, so we're going to be seeing those figures either this year or early next year. So lots of great stuff. Definitely recommend this figure, well being said and done. So if you're interested in this figure, that is being sold now on Boss Fight Studios store, as well as a number of online retailers, not limited to Entertainment Earth, who I happen to be an affiliate of. So I'll have a link in the description below to there. And if you use code TSMoth at checkout, currently you will get 10% off orders over $39, which this falls into, I believe, as well as free shipping. So do that up if you are interested. And all that being said, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and or sharing. If you want to take it to the next level and help me even more, which I greatly appreciate, there are tons of ways to do that in that description as well. So Ultra thanks to you one last time for watching, and I hope you take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and most importantly, stay weird, simians.